Okay. Well, this week I didn't play any full games. I played two demos though this week. The first of which was Forspoken. And here's what I can say about Forspoken. Uh, as of right now, after playing the demo, which the footage that's here, this is after I had already played the demo the first time. Like there's a lot of stuff in the demo, so you can actually spend quite a long time in this demo in this one region here. So this was after I had got my SD card and it works now, so I was able to record gameplay and everything. So just going around the world, I played for about maybe 30 minutes here in total, just broken up into like this shorter video. So what I can say is Forspoken so far is good, not great though. It's if you were expecting a 9, don't expect a 9. I'm expecting this game to end up falling more in the 7 range, with an 8 being the highest, maybe 8.5. I don't see this getting a 9 at all. Um, Reason being, it's the the world. It's I mean, again, this is just one small section of the world, So it's just this one region. We don't get to see like desert regions or anything like that. This just this one more like plains slash field, like grassy plains and fields type region and all like that, which is again quite expansive to say the least. But like this region, it's not all that like great looking. Like it looks fine, it looks good, but it's not like whoa.
Yeah, I had to
Which
pull it up. I'm watching it now. Yeah.
yeah, and I mean like that's not to say that a game needs to be stunning or anything, but like visually in terms of environments, it's like okay, it looks fine. It doesn't not blowing me away. The combat is fun and there is depth there, but like it's really, in my opinion at least, it's the demo didn't really explain everything all that well. It's kind of like explains the basics and then kind of expects you to figure it out from there, which isn't necessarily a problem, but just the way you do combat, it's a bit clunky and not the most intuitive. Like it takes a while to get used to it. And even after playing the demo initially for a good like 3 or so hours, like by the end of it, I was better, but I still didn't feel like, all right, this feels like great to do. I can't speak on the story because there was no story information in this demo. It was just like, hey, you're in this region. There's a bunch of things for you to go see and fight and do and stuff, so you could do those things. In terms of banter, I know one criticism that people have had, one worry is like that dialogue between like Frey and the Cuff and how it's written and how chatty they are. And I mean, I personally don't have a problem with their writing. I think the writing is fine. Yeah, not great, just fine. But they are quite chatty, like chatted back and forth with one another. So if you're not really a fan of characters, kind of frequently, sorry, a cough came up as I was about to say that word. If you're not a fan of characters frequently trading jabs with each other back and forth, then you might not really be a fan of it here. I think there's a setting to like decrease that, the amount that they talk with each other. Um, so like that's like a real top level broad overview of everything in the game. Uh, I think the like I said, the one area where the game really excels is the combat, and I'm not sure where you are in the video, but like in the demo, we have two sets of powers. So you have like Frey's her base magic, which is kind of like essentially using rocks for her spells and all, and then you have your fire magic and all, which is way more aggressive. You're getting up in people's faces, swinging your fire sword to do your fire punches and stuff like that. And those are your like assault type attacks. For each magic, there are also support spells you can do as well, which it might give you like like an extra shield for a bit from your cuff, or with the fire powers, it might allow you to like put up a ring of fire around you so that anyone coming into the area like they get hurt by the fire, or summoning two fire soldiers to work with you and like fight enemies on their own and all like that. There's another support spell from Frey's own set of magic where like she throws out like a tendril whip that like hits any surrounding enemies and gives her back health. So there's a lot of different spells you can use and all, but the way in which you swap between them is if you hold R1, that brings up your assault magic, right? If you hold L1, that brings up your support magic, and you choose the one you want to use by using the right analog stick. R2 is how you use your assault spells. L2 is how you use your support spells, right? Um, and it's like it gets the job done, but when you're trying to switch between phrase spells and the fire spells, you have to hold L1 and R1, use analog stick to switch to the other, and then switch between the spells. Which, when it's your first time playing, you're just trying to get used to it. It's really cumbersome. It's not that fluid. It's not that intuitive. And the more I played, the better I got at it. But even after playing the demo for like 3, 4 hours or so, yes, I got better, but it still didn't feel, it still felt cumbersome. It still felt like I was kind of bending over backwards to make it work. And I wasn't able to be as fluid as I wanted to be by using my magic. But the potential is there. Like I see their vision of what they're trying to go for. And I think your mileage may vary in terms of how well you adapt to it. And the more you play, the more you get used to it. I think you'll be able to like switch on the fly between a bunch of different spells. It'll be really cool and stuff. Uh, of course, combat means enemies, and the enemies here, there is like a variety of some regular like type gremlin type enemies. You have like your bigger berserker type guys, birds, like the wildlife in the world, they're enemies as well, other soldiers and stuff. And they each have their own resistances or vulnerabilities and everything. Um, where I think the combat again kind of falters here is when it comes to trying to fight multiple enemies, it can be a bit of a pain because like the lock on, there is a lock on system, but if you're aiming and the lock on is pressing R3, right? So if you're already aiming and you press R3, it doesn't lock onto anyone. It actually just centers the camera. In order to lock onto enemies, you have to press R3 first before you aim, and then it locks on to like whatever enemy is closest to you. And once you're locked on, you can switch between people by using the right stick to, go back and forth and stuff. But like it led to so many instances of me like trying to aim at a target, but like actually not aiming at a target at all. Like I feel like that system needs to be, it needs to be worked. You need to be able to lock onto an enemy while you're aiming. I shouldn't have to lock on before I aim at a target. Like that's counterintuitive. Um, but I mean, the enemies themselves are fine. Some of them are strong, some of them are weak and easy to take out. Then like they're spread across the region here that you have and all. And in combat, you have like your parkour, which is when you hold circle, you see like Frey get like the gold around her feet and everything, and that's like how she's running and jumping and bouncing around and stuff like that. So like that adds a level of flair to combat to make it look cool and exciting, and it is cool and exciting in combat and when exploring the open world. The only time it's really not that great is when you're trying to like climb up a mountain or like climb up a cliff, because then it's like you can run up, and then if you press circle at certain points after you reach a certain height, it gives you like an extra boost or so, like an extra boost or two to get a bit higher. But still, it seemed like it's just not the most, it didn't seem like the most intuitive trying to like climb up things using just the parkour, like just the running parkour. You really have to bend over backwards to try and make, not bend over backwards, but really have to like put in effort to try and make something work. If it's like, hey, this isn't gonna work, but if you want to try, you could try. And like Freya has a spell where she can throw out a fire whip that like latches onto something. And if that, you do that by just pressing square. If you just press it, she just like pulls out a whip at whatever's in front of her, like goes towards it, whether it be an enemy, environment, what have you. But when you hold square, you're actually able to aim at what you want to like latch onto. And like that's something that the game doesn't explain to you unless you go into your list of spells where you can like upgrade spells and stuff. And then when you see the spell there, it tells you, oh yeah, I can do that. But like, had I not known that, I would have been like, how do I grapple onto these clear grapple points that are here in front of me? Um, so yeah, like I walked away from the demo feeling optimistic, but also a bit like I like it's gonna be good. I think it'll be a good game. Like a lot of it's gonna come down to the story, because I think again, combat has potential. It's fun, it has potential, it has depth, but it's a bit cumbersome. The world, or at least this region of the world, not the most impressive in terms of again like visuals or things to necessarily do. Like there's like a cave or so. There's like, oh hey, do this activity where you have to like hold this area and protect the villagers from waves of enemies. You have to do it like 5 minutes, and there's only 3 people here, and you're just kind of in between waves. You're kind of waiting. Like one time in between a wave, I waited like 30 seconds for more enemies to roll on in. I was like, is the game bugged? What's going on here? Um,
that
yeah,
demo, that demo jank.
Right. And so like that was there. I mean, there's also real quick, Freya has her cloak and her nails that like you could upgrade, and alter to like give her different buffs. So like, oh, do you want to have stronger red magic? Do you want to have stronger purple magic? Do you want to get health from certain attacks or so on and so forth? Like there's that. There is a leveling system and all. You use mana that you collect to upgrade your spells and like unlock new ones and all like that. Like there is definitely potential here. Again, they it's just you're either gonna like this game or you're not. I think that's really what it's gonna come down to. Like the super Forspoken hype is gone for sure. It's not gonna be a 9, maybe an 8. I'm thinking most likely 7s though.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I like obviously I haven't played the demo, so I can't comment too much. It looks like the combat looks like it could be serviceable, bordering on interesting, but I don't think the game will necessarily be for me. I'm really torn on if I'll play it. I think it comes out in January, right?
Yes, 24th, my birthday.
It comes out during future happy birthday. But yeah, it really depends. I forget if there's a ton coming out around it. I may play it just because it's like the only thing, but then also will I be catching up on last year's stuff? I don't know. It's not a game that I think in any level will speak to me, and definitely seems destined to be just like a video game trivia question 10 years from now. Like, hey, remember Forspoken?
Yeah.
It's so funny because it does give me like launch window vibes. And yet here
I
we
see what you
are.
mean. I see what you mean.
Like, hey, this is kind of the first game that we wanted to make a sequel for, but didn't sell well enough. But the sequel was going to have like a more varied areas or whatever, because like I'm sure there'll be other areas, but I just get the feeling they're all going to feel just like this.
Yeah, in terms of like what's in them and all, like I
Just
worry
like
that that's gonna be the case. I worry that that's gonna be the case. You know,
it
we
just
gotta
feels like
wait and
Sonic
see.
Frontiers, man. Like when you boil it down.
Yeah, I kind of see what you mean. But yeah, I mean, if you're excited for the game, stay excited. Even after
Yeah,
playing
I'm
the
not
demo,
trying to
if you
kill anyone's
are,
hype.
yeah,
Nothing
still
wrong with
stay
being excited
excited.
for something.
I don't think the game will be bad. I just think it's gonna be
Yeah, like I
good,
said,
good at best.
it's gonna be I feels like a 6 out of 7, or 6 or 7 out of 10 special. Like just that's and I think some people will interpret that as like bad scores, but like again, it's on a scale of 10. Like there are worse things for sure. It's gonna be like barely above the median, I think. But I mean, prove me wrong, Forspoken. By all means, be an 8 or a 9.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. So those are my thoughts on Forspoken. Cool so far. We got to see what actually happens when the full game comes out.